Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, communication is very important in every field of life. From home to office, we need to express at right time and with right words. I must say, it is an art. Communication is an art, and it's all about the understanding others' views, feelings, and ideas. Communication skills for students is important for their career, because it is main factor for their success, whether you are giving an interview or giving a speech, and whether you are presenting an idea to crowd. Your communication skills and ability to communicate could make or break the deal. Good communication doesn't mean knowing the English language. Sorry, this is misconception. English is a language and communication is a skills. Both are different, very different. Even after learning good English, your communication can be pathetic. You may lose words when you have to speak. So first, communication is important to learn. How communication is important for business? Let's start its learning. We human beings need to interact and react with each other. As human beings live in a group, they make group of their own interest, or they become part of some similar interest group. Within that group or organization, they use to share ideas, opinions, feelings, and new information. In fact, they communicate. This communication is lifeline for them. The word communication means the act or process of giving or exchanging of information through any media. Why we need to do communication? Let me tell you the purpose of communication for any organization. I have listed out three purposes. We need communication to stimulate action by expressing need or motivating others. We need communication to share new idea, information, or develop some particular attitude or belief among employees. We have to communicate to build up positive relations, long-term relations within the organization and outside the organization. Here there is a detail of each purpose you may go through. What are the advantages of communication in your career? Communication is a valued tool in your career. It is a reason of success most of the time. You must have an idea, every organization needs human resources with effective communication skills, because there is a lot of competition among employees, among companies. So, success in your career is based on your ability to communicate at right time with the right words. Strong communication skills are found in every job description list, and it is the main responsibility of every employee to communicate their problem, their idea, their information right time with right words. Poor communication can devastate the whole career of an employee. Communication flow is of two types: formal and informal. Formal communication is planned, and informal communication is unplanned. Informal communication is spontaneous. There is also an internal and external communication. Internal communication within the organization, and external communication out is outside the organization. Both are important at their own places. Downward and upward. Downward communication from top to bottom level for the purpose of communicating duties, jobs, descriptions, rules, some directions, some strategies or decision making. Whereas upper communication takes place from lower level to upper level, including employees' feedback or their response. Communication can be oral, communication can be written. Oral communication is like informal communication, and written communication is like formal communication. Communication has a process. Communication is a process of sending and receiving verbal or non-verbal messages. Communication is considered effective when it achieves the desired reaction or response from the receiver. It's a two-way of exchanging ideas. A person, which is known as sender, he encodes a message and sends it by a proper channel to another person. The other person called receiver, he receives or understands the message and provide a proper response in any form within the context of message. On the next moment, sender becomes the receiver and receiver becomes the sender. Both play their role on alternate positions. We may use another terms for receiver and sender. Sometimes sender is known as speaker and receiver sometimes known as listeners. Successful communication must be a two-way process where sender sends a message and receivers receives feedback from the receiver. If communication gets failed to generate desired response from the receiver, communication process becomes miscommunication process. Communication process contains on 6 components: context, sender, the person who writes the message, encode the message, itself message, the medium, the media through which message is delivered, the person who understands the message, and feedback, response, either in the shape of words, either in the shape of body language, or in the shape of silence. Context. First component of communication process is context. Every message is developed within its context. Context is a broader term. It may include country, its culture, organization, internal, external issues, and so on. Every message, whether oral or written, it begins with context. In communication process, sender is a person who is initiating or starting the communication process. He receives an idea from its environment and he gives some shape of words to his idea, converts words into some specific language, and this process is known as encoding. Encoding is simply putting the message in an appropriate form. Now message. Message is the main idea. Any opinion, feeling, thought, emotions, or any sort of information that one person wishes to communicate. Media. Media is like a bridge, it's like a link between sender and receiver. It communicates sender's message to receiver. We choose media based on our own interest, based on our own preferences. Sometimes we choose written media, sometimes we choose oral media. Uh, in There are different situations where we prefer oral communication and sometimes we prefer written communication. Oral communication is more preferences have more preference when we need immediate feedback, and written communication is more important when we have to write down, when we have to make record of communication. Similarly, the media selection within the organization is different, and selection of source of communication like media outside the organization is different. We prefer oral communication within the organization. It's okay if we communicate messages face to face or on some presentation or audio recorded message. But outside the organization, we have to write down the messages in the shape of letters, reports, some catalogs, some cards, and have to make their record. There, in some situation, we need other medium. Receiver. Receiver is a person who receives the sender's message. He also has an environment. He is also influenced by the context and by the factor in which he lives. He decodes the message. He understands the message on the ability of its own experience, attitude, skills, and understanding. Every component in communication process has its own importance. Feedback also has its own importance. You may say it is the last but most important component of communication process. Feedback is nothing but the reply or response of receiver to sender. Without proper response, proper feedback, communication process remain incomplete. Feedback may be desired response, or in the shape of undesired response, or in the shape of silence from receiver's side. Feedback determines the success or failure of the main message. Noise. In communication process, there is also a factor of noise. Noise defined as any unpleasant interference in the communication process which cause hindrance in the transmission of message. Noise can be of two types: channel noise and the semantic noise. Channel noise like factors: noise in the phone line, too much high pitch of a person, handwriting is not good, sound by nearby vehicles, or some sort of machinery is running around the speaker site. This is channel noise that can be lessened, that can be controlled. Semantic noise: error in the message. Some words have double meaning, might be some misspelling of words, change the context of message. While speaking, pronunciation is not correct, and sometimes we use some sort of connotations, hence it also disrupts the main body of the message. Now students, comes to mind-blowing exercise. There is a mind-blowing exercise for you. You have to revise the barrier in communication process. We discussed sometime what can be the barriers in communication process in detail. You just need to revise them, and this is all about up to our communication uh, subject, and we will continue now to onward. Thank you for your time. Allah Hafiz.